Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here with my review for the Bad Batch Season 2 finale, The Summit and Plan 99. So, two great episodes. Once again, late review because of all the crazy issues with my laptop and all that stuff. Plus, RE4 was out. I had to beat that. I was like, I'm beating RE4 before I bother catching up on any of my reviews. So I'm still like 2 weeks behind on Mandalorian and a bunch of other stuff. But I was like, yeah, it's RE4. So check out my streams. I finally beat that yesterday or the day before yesterday. The Mercenaries comes out this weekend. Unfortunately, I won't be able to play, but I will be streaming on Monday for sure. Checking out Mercenaries. So if you guys are interested, definitely check that out. I have part 1 uploaded on the channel, and then I'm gonna have the rest uploaded over the weekend. So definitely check that out if you're interested. I greatly appreciate it. But amazing season finale. I do have to start off by saying, much like Omega said, he's not dead. There's no way Tech is dead. He can't be. Basically full on Luke Skywalker. It's perfect. Perfect shirt. That's not true. That's impossible. So we'll see him next season because there's just no way. Like he's totally alive. They will either use him as maybe like he could actually be alive, but he has to find a way to survive and get word out to the rest of the crew, because of course I'm sure they'd be searching for him. If he was actually dead and gone, it'd be like, okay, so he's been captured, and or if he's dead and gone, it's like, all right, they did their thing. But if he's not dead and it's like, all right, we found the goggles, so that you of course use that for Wrecker and be like, hey, it's unfortunate what happened and everything. And he doesn't say dead. He does say gone over and over again. He does not say he's dead or we found his body. He said, this is all we can recover. It's like, well, that seems interesting. Like another thing kind of, in a sense, blew up, but realistically, it fell to the ground. You couldn't find like any parts of a body, but you found the goggles. The goggles came off of him, and that was all you could find. It's like, he's out there somewhere. And that's not where Omega is, of course. That's not where she gets taken to. But that's a location where it's like, all right, that was a huge place. I mean, clearly they don't control the whole planet. Well, they probably control it, but they haven't, inhabited the entire thing. It's not like the whole planet is, an Imperial base or anything like that. Like those carts were insanely high up in the air. He falls so far, he basically falls through the clouds. So he's down there somewhere. Some weird, crazy, we didn't see the body death. So, he survived kind of way. It'll be interesting. However they do it, it'll be interesting to see, but it'll be fun to watch him come back for sure, because I'm like, there's no way he's gone. There's no body, there's no death. That's just how it is. Unless a character, unless it's like a Rogue One situation where it's like, they were on that planet, that person was like in the Death Star. It's like, I'm sorry, but we all know how TV works. They will find a way to be like, somehow Palpatine returned, somehow Tech survived. That's just how it's got to be. So we'll see him next season for sure. It would be interesting if he ended up being captured, so him, Omega, and Crosshair have to work together, but I think it'll just be he kind of has his own path, which, once again, that might be something they say for like the middle of the season, and then they reveal that he's actually alive. Who knows? But I don't think he's gone, but it was definitely an emotional moment. I was like, there's no way they're going to have to do this right now. And of course they did. But it was a great episode. Like, the summit was pretty nuts. Like, it was definitely... It didn't go the way I was expecting, where it's like, all right, they go in, it's like, all right, let's figure out this information. Things are working out as they typically do, stealth mission. And then it's like, something weird is happening here. It's like, all these cameras are already turned off. And it's like, well, we should probably check into that. And of course, as soon as they decide to check into it, that's when the Empire's like, hey, all these cameras are turned off. It's like, what? At first it was like, they had the little malfunctions or whatever, and it was like, all right, just reset this and no big deal. And that's when they were kind of making their way in through the skyline or the sky rail. It was like, all right, that was simple. And then it was like all the cameras being turned off. It was like, we'll send the squadron over there immediately, because that's not supposed to happen. And so it's this weird, it doesn't last for too long, but it's like, this is really weird. Like, this is weird mystery starts popping up, and then we find out, making yet another random appearance, Saw Gerrera. So that was definitely something. It was like, holy crap, Saw Gerrera again. Definitely the younger version, because obviously this is during the early segment of the Clone Wars era, and then eventually he turns into Forrest Whitaker. But that was interesting. I was like, okay, that's not what I was expecting. Still early on, but it was like, it's him. I think there were 2 or 3 other people that he was with. They never get shown officially, but I was like, all right, they happen to have 2 missions going on at once, and those missions end up colliding. And at the same time is when they, get busted, so that everyone starts shooting their way out, and it's like, we don't know what to do. I thought Saw Gerrera was going to come back in. I'm not surprised he didn't, because that's his whole character, where it's like, hey, it happens. You guys died. Oh, well, you're in service of the greater good. That's his whole character. If they die, but we succeed, 100 million of them can die, so we can succeed. I think the only person that ever kind of beat him is the dude from Andor. And that's like the one time that's ever happened with Saw Gerrera, where somebody else was like, hey, I'm gonna make an even greater sacrifice for the greater good. So I thought that was interesting. I was kind of expecting him to come back at least a little bit, just do like a little flyby, hit a couple ships, and then at least try to assist them a tiny bit. And it was like they left and they were gone, and that was it. And I was like, it's funny, but it's also kind of effed up, because I'm like, that's the only reason they really got captured, is because Saw's team got busted for shutting down the camera. So it was kind of funny, but it was just like, that's a little effed up. It's like they're really only dealing with this because you did something too obvious. It wasn't them getting busted, it was really you being busted. So I thought that was kind of funny, just in a silly way. It was funny, but mostly it was just effed up, because of course that led to Tech dying. But amazing sequence when they get the tram and they like slams through the wall and everything like blows up, and then it's all from Echo's perspective, or not Echo, Omega's perspective. I love that sequence. And it also looked like, maybe it's just because of the fact that they knew they were doing it in like quick glimpses of like her opening her eyes, and then it's like, here's like 2 or 3 seconds of content, and then she closes her eyes. For some odd reason, I swear it seemed like those specific shots looked way better than the rest of the episode. I was like, I don't know if it's because they know it's going to be like, here's this for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then like I said, like just the short time, they knew they could put as much into it as they needed to for the motions and animations or something. But I was like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because it was super close up, as well as like the first person view just made the perspective a bit different than like the classic shots you see. But I don't know, for some reason I was seeing those shots and I'm like, it's towards the end of that episode anyway, or at least halfway point, I think, and it was like, this looks so much better than everything I just saw. And it's not that Clone Wars or Bad Batch, I still call it Clone Wars, but it's not that Bad Batch looks bad in any form. Obviously it's the best animation that we have at this point, going coming from original Clone Wars, and building up everything they've done with the graphics. But it was like that specific sequence, for some odd reason, to me was like, this looks just above and beyond everything we just got. And it's not like there was a big break. It was like I didn't pause and then come back to the show and I suddenly realized it looked good. I was like, this just looks amazing. I mean, technically there was the pause in the show of like going fading to black, or cutting to black really, but something about that sequence, it was like, this looks amazing. And the whole show obviously looks amazing, but it was like just an extra amazing plus or something. It was just a little bit extra there. So I absolutely love that. Of course, the team ends up going back to Sid, which I was very shocked by. I was honestly surprised to even remotely see her. I was like, oh, I thought they were done with her officially. And now they are, because they go through this whole process. They think they lose Tech. Everything's just sad and chaotic. Everybody's injured and got bandages. Wrecker's got the full-on neck brace and junk. Like, everybody's effed up right now. And then she's acting weird, and then it's like, what's your deal? Like, what's going on? And she's like, I tried to be nice. And I'm like, here we go. After all of that, she's just, that was the whole thing. It was like, yeah, don't be friends with her, because ultimately she's kind of a shitty person and she'll betray you. And that's it. And it's like, you brought that heat on me, and so I had to just let it go. It's like, obviously if they escaped, there's not much heat. Like, what are they going to do? Where are they going to track them to? If they didn't track them already, they wouldn't have done it. They would not have found them, plain and simple. But of course she turned to the men, so they are done with her 100%. And then they all have to, do what they can to survive. Naturally, everyone's trying to sacrifice themselves for everybody else. That's just how it ends up going. Omega ends up being captured, and they try, they definitely try to rescue her. They have a couple cool moments, they're taking people out here and there. Echo comes in, he gets in the walker, starts taking stuff down, then he gets taken down by another walker that comes around the block. So it's like, this is a great sequence that, the whole street's cleared out. Everybody's like, holy crap, the Empire's here. Things are really chaotic. But I love the way they handled that ending action sequence, where it was this real back and forth. It was like, all right, she's gonna go try to rescue them. She instantly got captured. And then I was like, well, what happens now? Because everybody's captured. And then of course, that's when Echo comes in, lets the guys get free, but unfortunately they're not able to get to, I keep mixing all the names up. They're not able to get to Omega fast enough. And so she's of course taken to whatever the name of this planet, and where the facility is. And that's when they officially reveal at the end that woman that a lot of people already speculated was a clone, she is a clone. And I was like, okay, so they made that official, and it was like, we're sisters. And I was like, all right, that is how they're ending it. So when we pick things up, we're gonna start getting some really definitive answers, and I'm certainly looking forward to. Who are they clones of? It's a big thing there. I saw a video, I didn't watch it yet, but I did see a video where someone mentioned that woman lied and that she wasn't actually a clone, just like Omega. But I'm pretty sure, like, even just her speaking, I think that's why everybody had that theory. It was like, that just sounds like the actress just doing a deeper voice because she's just an older woman versus being a young child. And I'm like, that really does sound like the actual voice actors for Omega doing the voice. It's the same as D. Bradley Baker doing all the voices. He changes his voice up, but it's like, I feel like his voice sometimes is so different. You're surprised it's the same dude. But for her, it was like, I think that was meant to be the hint anyway. Whereas like, it sounds like her for sure. It definitely sounds like her. I think she even says Omega at one point. She doesn't say Omega. They don't make her say Omega. She says Omega. And it was like, okay, well, that has to be her. That sounds exactly like the actress, just like I said, deeper voice. So I think that hint was always there, and I'm pretty sure she is a clone. I don't personally think she's lying, but I'm excited to see where they go with that, because it's still the big question of who are they a clone of? Like, who is this important human character from that perspective, that they just have this DNA where they're like, all right, let's clone this person more than once, by the way, because the whole thing before, when it was just Omega, it was like, all right, well, seemingly she is bred from both. I mean, technically she was a clone, but I always just assumed, I think a lot of people did, because it was like, well, they used this dude to literally create an entire army. Maybe they just did like, a clone, like a normal clone that's basically an actual kid, where it's half this, clone, half clone of this guy, half clone of this woman. And so it's more like a natural birth in a sense, because it's actually two people's DNA, but she could just be an actual clone of a totally different person. So I'm still excited to see what they do with that answer. What in the world is going on with like the new guy, like his whole thing of utilizing the clones in like a new way. I'm curious how that's supposed to play out. He's very creepy. I definitely like him as a character for sure. So I'm looking forward to more weird stuff from that guy. And of course, we have two characters officially trapped by these people. So we have Omega, who will probably have a bit more free reign within the facility. But of course, we also have Crosshair. And then you have Echo, Wrecker, and what is the other dude? I can't even think of the names, but the three guys together, I swear I always forget somebody's name in this, but we got three of them together. We have Crosshair, passed out right now, but he's at least there. Omega's there with him. Her sister, who knows how much that matters. Her at least maternal figure, once again, who knows how much that really matters going into this next season, where obviously Omega is meant to be used as the catalyst to be like, hey, do what we want if she gets hurt. So I'm definitely excited. They have to get some answers, because there's no way she's going to just fight against them the entire time. Like, she's going to be convinced that if they hurt Omega, then, it's do that or, she's hurt. So she'll be doing some work. So we'll be getting some answers out of her. And I'm excited to see that. Like, what next phase could they possibly have? They already have cloning. They had mind control. So I don't know how they could, upgrade the mind control. I feel like whatever he has planned, I feel is totally different, because it's not just, all right, well, we have them under mind control to be like our soldiers, and then they can eventually build their own personalities. They even Grand Moff Tarkin is in this, also Krennic from Rogue One. That was a cool thing to see him animated. But they have that reference, like, when they hang around people, they can get different personalities that we don't particularly like now that we're the Empire. So I want to see what is going on there, because I'm like, it's not just going to be, we upgraded the mind control. That feels like it wouldn't take that much. It's like, you have the bases, next step. They wouldn't need to, I wouldn't think at least, they wouldn't need to go back to one of the species that knows how to clone just to upgrade what's, technically speaking, a little chip in their head. It's like, it's technology based. They're already set to follow that command, whether they break it or not. It's like, that's some firmware updates or something. So it's got to be something really crazy, and I'm excited to see what answer they have. They obviously didn't give it to us. They probably don't have it figured out themselves just yet, but definitely looking forward to see what this next phase is supposed to be on using the clones that have turned against them. If it's not just killing them, what is it that he's doing? Because it has to be more than just, we re-mind control them, because that's not exciting. It's like, well, you might as well said that from the beginning. Like, that's nothing to build up to, so it's got to be some weird plan, and I'm hoping it is. Otherwise, it's super odd that it's just going to be mind control updated. And it's like, well, that's not much of a thing to like wait for in anticipation, between seasons. So I assume it has to be something much grander than that. And I'm definitely hoping it is, for sure. But phenomenal season finale two-parter. I thought it was great. I'm hopeful and still looking forward to seeing Tech in season 3. Who knows? We might actually see Sid again, just because of what they'll end up doing, with Wanda Sykes' character, who of course I can never remember, but maybe they'll end up going back to Pabu at some point, and just how crazy things are. it'll be fun to see how that plays out and who they really call on to try to get some help and get some extra answers to find this facility as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to season 3. I think this season for sure was an upgrade over season 2. I think they had more episodes that were just really hard hitting, even if it didn't focus on the team and stuff. It was like they were just hitting some really good just story driven episodes. Like they really did. Like, we had a slightly rough first like 5 or so episodes where we'd be like, all right, it's almost like every other episode would be like, here's tippy top peak, and then it would just like, it's like, okay, well, okay. But ultimately, definitely love the season finale, love the season as a whole. We'd love to know what you guys thought about it, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it, and of course, going into season 3, what do you guys hope for? What do you guys realistically think is going to happen? What's going on with that crazy dragon monster thing? My theory is that they're going to use those scales, not for armor, but for the satellite plating to shoot, basically focus the beam into one giant laser. That's my theory on it. I think it will come back in next season, but I want to know all your thoughts and theories going into season 3, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.